Hello and welcome to everyone who's joining this session, the A4Q Testing Summit Edition 2024. I'm Debbie and I'm delighted to have with me Pieter Withaar. Peter's going to talk about the AI bore-out, and I know I'm already very intrigued by this. Just very quickly before we get started, Peter, can I ask if people will pop their questions in the comments box, and Peter will do his very best to answer as many as we can at the end of the session. Also, just to say, listen carefully, we're going to have a little, should I say, competition to see who is the favourite speaker of the summit. So we'll let everybody know how to vote for that later. So Peter, come back. Peter, I'm going to go away and hand over to you. So have a great time, everyone.
Thank you very much, Debbie. All right, I'm going to talk about the AI bore-out. And of course, I made a little generation of a subtitle, works out fine in that way. My name is Pieter Withaar. I'll introduce myself quickly. And somehow I see a little trend of people introducing themselves by putting their name in ChatGPT and then asking, who am I? And then you get a nice summary and you tell, well, I'm Pieter Withaar, I work for ICT Improve. I thought that, well, that's maybe a little bit boring. So I did a little bit of the next step and I tried to let AI generate images of me so you can see who I actually am. And I probably have to explain the images a bit because this is the first one. And well, this actually tells who I am. But I asked AI, like, okay, you know a little bit about me now. And it came up, well, it seems you're like a technology addict. And that's what this image represents. I am a technology addict. I've been working with computers since I was 4. I've been programming, well, basically my whole life. When I could read, I could almost program. And have been going through all the transitions that maybe many of you have been going through in the last years with the internet, with bulletin boards, mobile phones, and everything that happens in IT. So I am a technology addict, and I think, well, AI is representing me here quite well. It even looks like me, but it looks like an addict. And I wasn't fully satisfied with it, so I made some nicer pictures. This is me. This really looks like me, though, with my bot friends. Well, as you can see, I like to look in the future over here. But still, I wasn't really satisfied. So why not make a more polished and better version of me? Well, that's here. I really love the neo-punk kind of style in that way. Or maybe in the future I will be a cyborg. Who will tell us? I am the managing director of ICT Improve, a Dutch company focusing on training and education in industrial automation. And well, to tell a little bit about ICT Improve, I was also like, I can do it myself, but maybe it's better to show what people say about ICT Improve instead. So we are awarded this year the #1 Agile Scrum Trainer in the Netherlands and also the Test Trainer in the Netherlands. We are around for around 26 years. You may know us as Improve Quality Services, but we are these days a proud part of ICT Group. And to show that also, we renamed ourselves to ICT Improve. That's basically everything. We have a broad portfolio from ICB, IREP, IS-AQB, and many more accredited training also. So well, find us over there, based in the Netherlands. So today I will talk about something that's probably on all your minds, and you probably followed maybe already some talks about AI specifically. And that's why also, well, the hype around AI and what is it really about, that's what I'm going to talk in this AI bore-out session. Because everywhere you look, there's talk about it. And it's going to revolutionize industries, and especially in fields like software testing. And we're hearing stories about how AI is taking over our tasks, generating test cases, making plannings, and transforming how we work. But here's the question. Are we really as close to an AI-driven future as everyone seems to think? And my argument today is that we're not there yet. And while AI has made impressive strides, especially with large language models, the reality is that we still have time before AI really kicks in and gonna live up to the hype. AI hasn't revolutionized everything, at least not yet. And I will today be focusing on large language models mainly, as many of the other people will do also, but I will try to give a little bit of a different view in that. And that's because, well, at large language models, most of the buzz and excitement is over there. And we are working a lot with other AI solutions also, which are, well, really great in what they're doing also. But I will be focused on large language models, especially. So we've all heard about how amazing AI is generating content and predicting outcomes, and even automating some tasks, which we do every day. But let's be honest, while AI can be powerful, it has also those limitations. And that especially comes when it comes to contextual understanding. And I'm going to give you a little insight about the workings of AI to explain what I really mean over here, and also to let you learn where the limitations are. Eventually, we'll go about all the advantages and all the other things, but also the limitations. So let's start. Little examples. Imagine I ask you to count how many R's there are in the word strawberry. And just between us, there are 3. So I'm pretty sure most of you would quickly answer correctly, and there are 3 R's, and you will look at the word and you can imagine and you can count them in there. But AI can't do the same thing. And this is a classic and a typical example. I recorded this little video yesterday, and it still says it contains 2 R's, which is wrong. And we know it's wrong, and we're like, why? Why does that happen? And that's because AI doesn't truly understand the word strawberry. What happens is that AI models, like the ones built on large language models, don't see the word as we do. They don't know that a word is made up of specific letters, or that strawberry is a fruit with a set of number of characters. Actually, instead, AI translates the word strawberry into a sequence of numbers that are connected with context. In other words, ideas and meanings is learned from really huge, vast amounts of data. It knows that strawberry is associated with things like fruit or sweetness or red color, but it doesn't really understand the concept of the strawberry and the counting of the letters. The AI is just predicting the next logical word or number, actually, based on patterns it has seen before. So when I ask it to do something as specific as counting or counting letters, it just guesses based on context. And that's the key of the problem. AI can make predictions, but it lacks real understanding. And this is a fundamental limitation when we expect it to handle more nuanced tasks like generating meaningful test cases or understanding complex systems. And to make it even clearer, let me tell you a story I like to call the strawberry encoding stories, as we are in strawberries right now. For me, in the past 6 years, when I talk about AI and recently large language model, how to explain it simply, the easiest way to think of how this guessing works, besides explaining the self-attention mechanism, the positional coding, feed-forward neural networks, and multi-headed attention that all composited, I always compare it to a one-word story. And the people who now wonder, like, what's a one-word story? It's an improv theater game where one person starts with one word and everyone adds another word. I think most of you will know it. Well, let's try it. So we start with once a strawberry decided to learn how to code. Funny story? Absolutely. It's what happens with improv. We make funny stories. And when you do this with a group, you get really funny results, and it's a nice group exercise in that way. This one is made by a group. So I did this presentation before in live audiences, or live physical audiences, let's say. And we came up to this really funny sentence. And as you can see, there's connections between it. But AI can make it even weirder. So when I ask AI, well, continue on here, we get this. So once a strawberry decided to learn how to code, it opens its laptop and typed hello world. But instead of running the program, it actually launched a blender. The blender, confused, printed out a recipe for jam, which the strawberry tried to debug by adding more sugar. As the code gets stickier, a flock of birds arrives, mistaking the code for breadcrumbs. The birds helped debug by pecking the keyboard, but soon the entire kitchen was flooded with smoothie-making instructions, causing the microwave to beep in binary. And eventually, the strawberry just decided to leave everything and become a banana instead. Awesome. I love the story. And when first language models came out, the first results were poems and these kind of funny things. But what happens here is there is a lot of contextual linking between all the parts. It builds its output based on patterns and associations, but it really lacks the true contextual understanding. It connects things that are related, like strawberry with blenders and jam, but it just can't understand why adding sugar to a jam recipe doesn't help with debugging code. And this illustrates how AI models predict the next logical word in action, but can't truly understand complex relationships or even reasoning in that way. And when you take it to imaging and video generation, this even becomes more clear. Let's watch a little video of Gordon Ramsay. Well, not actually the Gordon Ramsay, but Gordon Ramsay making fruit, making the recipes in the kitchen. As you can see here, well, it looks all pretty real somehow, and it is. It looks real, but you can clearly see that it is generating things, but it really lacks the contextual understanding. It knows it's cooking, it knows it's drawing up spaghetti, but the context is fully gone. And that makes it, in this way, absolutely funny to watch there. But you can imagine what happens here. Okay, let's continue to the next part there. So I hope that illustrates it a bit what I'm talking about. And I know a lot of people, and I think that's a good thing, try to learn you like, hey, be critical and you can't trust. But I've seen a lot of talks and I've seen a lot of people really using it for testing and trusting on it and trusting it even more. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to keep a couple of things in mind. So AI can automate many tasks. So it can generate test cases and identify patterns in a large data set. However, AI might help generate test cases, but without human oversight, it lacks the context to truly create meaningful tests. And that's what we want, meaningful tests. I will elaborate on that later. AI doesn't understand the system it's testing in the same way we as humans do. So that leads to potential gaps in testing where critical scenarios and edge cases might be missed because AI doesn't grasp the full context of the software functionality or the real world usage. I will dive into this later, but first, let's look back and to look back also what other technologies showed us to predict and to see what is happening and where are we going in this way. So let's first look at this part. We are, most of us all, and that are watching this, are to be addressed as knowledge workers. We are working in software engineering. We're creating solutions for customers that has business value, hopefully. And one of the things that's a research from Martin in 2013, it looked at knowledge workers and what do we actually do? So what do we produce? Because we don't produce like a physical thing often. We don't, well, some of us produce software, or we tend to produce a lot of test cases. But what do we actually produce and do is best described and characterized as a product of decisions. We are really good at making decisions. And those decisions lead from all the information that we have, the contextual understanding and everything around it. And that's what we as knowledge workers do. So we don't produce glasses or we don't produce physical stuff. We produce decisions in that way. And of course, you can look at the test cases, but still then you make decisions. You make informed decisions about what you're creating and producing over there. So if you look at history and look at technological shifts, we can see clear patterns that help us understand where AI fits today. And technology like mainframes and the internet, mobile phones, all started with similar patterns of hype and fear, increased efficiency, job creation, growing human dependency, and also the way we access and create knowledge. So if you look at the hype and fear, every new technology, every time that emerges, people have extreme reactions, excitement about its potential and fear about what it might change or take away. And AI is, well, obviously no difference. And some believe AI will revolutionize everything and make processes faster, smarter, more efficient. And others worry it will lead to widespread job losses and a world where machines control too much. But just as we saw earlier, reality is usually somewhere in between. Then there's increased efficiency. But it also brings something that's called complexity. And technologies like internet, mobile phones, but made many tasks easier and faster. But with that efficiency came with more complexity. We saw systems become more interconnected. And suddenly, in that interconnection, small problems could ripple through larger systems, making it really difficult. And we talk about regression. I'll talk about small problems rippling through larger systems. And with AI, we face a similar question. AI can make processes like software testing faster or automating repetitive tasks, but it doesn't make testing more accurate without human oversight. And as AI grows in complexity, the system it controls become harder to manage. You can just predict that. And one of the most significant impacts for me in this technological shift has been the way they changed our access to knowledge. Mainframes allowed us to process and store large amounts of data, but access was on that moment still limited to experts. The internet made that democratized that whole information, making knowledge available at our fingertips for everyone. And mobile phones took it even further, allowing us to access and create and share knowledge from anywhere. AI too. It is revolutionizing access to knowledge by processing vast amounts of unstructured data and helping us find insights faster than ever before. But it's important to ask whether AI is improving our understanding or just accelerating the process. One of those ethical questions that comes there is that a baby born today, when it's born, it's not smarter or dumber than a baby born 2,000 years ago. But the possibilities in cooperation with technology makes the amount of data it will and can process in its lifetime enormously higher. And this always also leads to human dependency. And over time, each technology has made us more and more dependent on machines. The internet made it possible to work and communicate from anywhere, but it also makes us dependent on connectivity. Mobile phones connected us to the world, but well, now we're rarely without them and pretty hooked. We are becoming increasingly reliant on it, especially in fields also like software testing, where automation can handle big amount of data and can help us speed up. But its growing dependency raises a key concern, in my opinion. Are we losing critical thinking skills as we hand over more decision-making to machines? And if you look at we are knowledge workings and we are handing over decision-making to machines, I think there's something going wrong over there. So we should really watch out. Are we really becoming less creative and lets technology take over more aspects of our work? And these are just historical patterns, and we've seen it again and again. And I think they help us frame where AI is taking us. And the key question is there, how do we balance that? How do we balance the power of AI with human creativity, but also with oversight? And I already tipped it a little bit. All these technologies came with ethical considerations too. And while AI is a powerful tool, we need also to consider the ethical responsibilities that come with using it, particularly in software testing. It's not just what AI can do, it's about how we use it. So let's dive into the ethical parts of AI in testing. And what I don't want to dive into is the ethics of using a tool with AI, but more of the ethics of using AI to assist us in testing itself. Because many people are talking about how AI assists us in that way. And as testers, we're constantly looking for ways to improve efficiency and accuracy. And well, AI promised that to speed it up, but the ethical challenges. So first, accountability, and therefore also human oversight. And when AI is used in testing, it generates results, and maybe it flags issues or even suggests test cases. But it's essential that we, as human testers, maintain oversight. AI may help generate them, but it lacks context to truly create meaningful tests. Second, it's the integrity of the data and AI models. They're only as good, the AI models, as the data we've been trained on. And if the data is incomplete or biased, well, it will produce unreliable results. And also be aware of the way it really works. Because of that, it will also generate unreliable results. And let's be honest, that hallucination is a feature and we can try to get rid of, but that's something that's just part of AI and the way it works. So we want to train them on representative and high quality data. Third, and that's important, transparency and explainability. And many AI systems are essentially black boxes. meaning they can produce results without providing a clear explanation of how they reach those conclusions. And it gets better, and there are links, and we're getting to Google with it, with a lot of other things around it. But in testing, this really can be a problem. How can we trust an AI system to catch critical bugs or issues we don't know how it works? It's really difficult. And it's important to choose AI tools that provide transparency, or at the very least, document their limitations so we understand when to rely on them and when to stop. And then at the end, skill erosion and over-reliance on automation. And I didn't put it in here, but as AI takes over more routine tasks, there is this danger that testers may become overly dependent on it and lose critical testing skills. And we've seen this with previous technologies as well. Look at test automation frameworks, where some testers rely really too much on green check marks from automated tests. And we think, assuming everything is perfect, we have 100 green check marks, so our software works. But we've seen it also with recent news and things. That's not true. That's not always true. It doesn't give us the most valuable insight always. And it really depends on what the quality and the insight those green check marks give us. But we start to be more and more, well, dependent on this, and we put more, well, skills in that. Is our job as knowledge workers in automated testing generating test cases, or is it making informed and good decisions? I believe it's making the decisions and not making test cases. We make decisions about how do we get insight in our system and the test the best, the most efficient, and which kind of test do we need over there. And I really believe in creativity in testing to also find all the boundaries, the exceptions, and the things around it. So I think it's essential to keep ethics in mind, and we have the responsibility to ensure that AI uses is accountable and transparent, and we don't erode human skills that are critical to software quality, and that is that critical thinking, that creativity. So ethics is a concern, but another concern is cost, and I will go over this a little bit quickly because my time is running. But there is a lot of costs that are hidden. Right now, AI seems pretty cheap to use. You can use it for free. You can use ChatGPT for free. You can pay for it. It costs $20 a month or a little bit more. And that's, well, $20 a month for Copilot or any other tool seems really cheap in what we get back for it. But if you add all the costs, the business case is not that easy. And I was talking to some people in Silicon Valley that are trying to create a good business case in software engineering and testing for AI. And we all know that it speeds up productivity at some points. But if you count it everywhere, and also research shows that the whole cost, including the hidden costs like energy, the cost of data, the cost of privacy because your data is used, the integration, but also the skill erosion and the amount it costs to check the results of AI, eventually leads to a business case that is not really cheaper. And that's strange. We're still in that phase. And at one side, that, well, makes me a little bit positive that we still have time to adjust and we are at the full hype and it will settle down. But this is a funny insight. There is a huge amount of cost that we are not really paying by money, but by everything else. That is as high that making a business case right now is difficult. Funny to think about. And then there's another problem. I believe the hype is at its peak right now. But it will slow down. It will give us time to really integrate. And it will, many of this technology, and if you look at the latest research, it will all get better. We are getting more multimodal models, and that solves some problems. Also, more and more context is helping in that way. But in the more and more context, there's also something weird going on. Because on the other hand, it seems that we're running out of data. And there has been other research, this goes about data running dry. We're losing high quality data. We're generating, as humans, less high quality, good scientific research data to train AI. And we only grow by 7% a year, while right now is consumed by 50% a year. That's a big gap eventually. And the prediction goes to 2026. And then the data runs dry. And right now, many of the improvements in the technology goes about more context, more data, because with that, we can mimic better what is really happening and mimic us humans better. And it seems more real in that way, while contextual understanding is still not in place. And you see other companies like in this way, Meta and Ray-Ban. By the way, this is a generated image, so it's not the real glass. You see them putting sensors everywhere. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason we need sensors, because we need to have more data. And what happens with the transformer architecture back in 2017, when that was introduced and it was really built and made popular in 2022 by OpenAI, is that we are now able to train on unstructured data. Unstructured data like voices, like speaking, like emotions in there, but also imaging and everything around it, together with all the unstructured data you have in your emails and everything. There's a big hunger for that data. But be aware, data is money, and we are giving away that money. So, and of course, with such glasses, if I'm now going to a meeting and I wear these kind of glasses, everybody will scream and say, what? This is unethical. Are you recording us? Well, it already gets more and more common. Teams meetings getting recorded, transcribed, being put in Copilot. We are continue doing that. This is a slope we will go on as humanity. Eventually, it will pretty be normal to give away our data, because that is the only way to make this beneficial for us right now. So, is it a hype? Well, I already said it. Right now, I believe it's a hype. And it's a useful hype, for sure. There are many, many nice things around it, but also dangerous. And as more and more companies are stumbling over each other to adopt large language models or do something with AI, and it's discussed in boardrooms, and the amount of real business cases at the other side is still really low, well, that's a funny hype. It is a hype in that way. And sure, a lot of companies are earning great money by AI, by, for example, making simple wrappers around Azure and sell them as safe or custom AI solutions to unknowing governments or other parts of a line that in that way. And all of course, single line of work is also already being threatened. AI is really good at narrow single tasks in that way. So you see pressure on translators, and for example, their rates are going down, and the pressure on those translators is really high. And we know stories about call center employees being fired massively because they are replaced with an AI bot. And even when some of these cases and the use of AI in those cases sometimes is beneficial, or it can be beneficial, we still have to consider the great limitations it comes with. Real contextual understanding, an understanding of the world, of the context, it's not there. And there's a lot of technology to crunch and a lot of new innovations to make it there. It's a difficult problem. That's not as easy as it seems. So it will be there for a while. It won't be there for a while, better said. And with this, guessing and the way it works and the technology and the mimicking it does, it really becomes pretty good at translating. You should question yourself also, would you hire AI or a real translator when, for example, a meeting is set between the American president and Putin? One would only wonder what would go wrong. And at call centers, the AI chatbot is giving a different form of accessing information. And for me, that's one of the biggest changes in AI, the way we can access and get information, the way we can process huge amount of data and compromise that and make nice summaries or extract the right type of information from it. That's a big game changer. And that's common in the technology we've seen in the last 40 years. For many of those questions that goes to chatbots maybe, or it goes to companies, it's absolutely fine. It really makes it easier to get the information you want. And it's for sure easier than a dumb chatbot from a couple of years ago. But giving your customers better access to data is important, but to use it, it should be a choice, right? Same as I can choose to read and search their website or take the phone and really call to some person if I find that necessary. And if I can't find the information, I get a human, right? Well, I hope so. So for me, if we look forward to the future, I see two possible paths emerging. AI is becoming more integrated into our human lives and work, and it's raising important questions. Will it support eventually human interaction, or will it lead to greater human-computer dependency? Previous technologies have all shown the latter. So it causes more human-computer dependencies. And in the first future, I find it bright. AI supports humanity. And in the scenario, AI is a tool that enhances our creativity and problem solving and collaboration and judgment. And it helps automate repetitive tasks and freeing us to focus on what we as humans do best: critical thinking, creative innovation, deep personal interactions. And with AI handling the mundane, we can engage with each other more meaningful and have more meaningful work with the human interaction. And the other future, AI drives us into the hands of technology. AI is then a means. We become more and more dependent on it, and in every aspect of our life. And instead of enhancing interaction, it takes over decision making. It takes over us as knowledge workers. And we shouldn't let ourselves be fooled by that and continue in that side. It can help in decision making, but we shouldn't. We should be the ones that are helped in that way. And it leads us to rely on machines to solve that problems, and well, that once required human thought. And in this future, AI erodes our creativity and critical thinking skills as we hand more tasks to automation. And well, I also see that human-human interaction could decline, and it's replaced by human-to-machine interaction. These two features, they present, in my opinion, a critical choice. And at one hand, they can liberate us from tasks and enhance our interactions. And on the other hand, it can trap us in a world where we're overly reliant. And many of the algorithms that are used on a daily basis by you already right now in social media, for example, are unfortunately moving to the more dark side of the world. I think this choice requires continuous effort, and I'm hoping also to add with this talk a little bit of thinking and a little bit of different thoughts and a different perspective to what is generally preached out there about AI and about the way we should use it in our field of area and expertise. And I think we should really look at creativity, human creativity, the ethics and the responsibility that we have over there. AI is a powerful tool. Large language models are really powerful tools, but it's just that, a tool. It enhances our lives and improves our works and opens new possibilities. We are still the decision makers, the ones responsible for ensuring that AI serves humanity, rather than becoming something we depend on blindly. And for that, I'm wrapping up this talk. Thank you for listening. And with that, also tokenized. Thank you.
Well, Pieter, what do I say? That was very definitely thought-provoking and lots of different perspectives in there that I hope people will want to come back to and hear again. I know certainly it's a session that I'm going to be going back to and listening. So much in there. I'm going to go straight to questions. Let's see what we've got here. Given what we've discussed about the future of AI and the two paths we would take, how do you see AI supporting or potentially hindering your own work or industry and training services?
Ooh, good question. Well, I see. Well, you can see it in my presentation. I use a lot of AI to generate images and to generate content for it, and it also helps me to broaden my perspective sometimes. I believe the biggest broadening of perspective is the human-human interaction I have with other people in this field, with people that don't know about it, and giving training, giving these kind of talks, and having the discussion afterwards. For us also, the training market, of course, it's shifting. There's also more and more online content and demand, and you can get your accreditation of certification by following online content. For us, we know our market is you have the framework and the content of ISTQB, for example, but the biggest addition to people's career is the discussion they have in the classroom. and the interaction with the other students and learning from each other. And that's a big thing. And you can learn from the theory, but eventually learning from each other is the most important part. So I believe it will make the creation of the content better. It will help us get more insight, or help us check if we have inconsistencies, for example, in syllabi. In that way, it all improves all those kind of things. But I hope it won't replace the real training on site and the necessity of that. And there's a market for both. But there, especially where we lead to interaction, if it's within a company or an open subscription, I think it's important to continue. I hope AI is not going to replace me as a teacher, and that you're all of a sudden looking in a classroom to an AI bot talking to you. I find that the most horrible scenario I can think of in the future in that way.
I suppose it depends on lots of factors, doesn't it? And how people want to learn. We do know there are a lot of people out there who are keen to self-study, and that's how they're going to,
There's a market about,
yeah. And if AI can do smarter things to help them, such as giving dynamic feedback, I think there's possibly a positive place for it there. Quite tricky one to make sure it's accurate and right, I hear people say, but a place for both, I hope, and lovely people
absolutely.
Like you. Definitely.
If you look at the A4 quality practical tester, which of course is also a big thing today, and I really like it, and I like to see. But what I definitely like to see and also like to hear is that there's always human oversight. And that's important, and we should learn from it. I think it really helps giving testers practical experience, and in that way, it is a way more flexible tool to be used in that way. But eventually, having also the human oversight and the input and output of that, and doing it, I think that's still really important.
Yeah. Do you see?
And that's how we should handle it.
Yeah. Do you see a little bit of a shift in role, maybe, and some trainers become much more coaches in this type of a scenario?
I think if you look, we always make the distinction between instructors and trainers, which Benjamin is doing often also. But for us, an instructor is just something that tells you the theory and instructs you to do that. But a trainer is already someone who has a lot of coaching and facilitation skills. The coaching and facilitating and making sure this is guided, the discussion is guided, is way more important in training than having the actual knowledge. It helps, and it's important also to have it, but therefore you can be a really good instructor and having a good technical knowledge and every insight of it, but it doesn't help in real training. You need that extra.
Absolutely.
And I think indeed it's shifting. I think instructors can be replaced with AI more and more. Absolutely.
Let's have a look and see if we've got some more questions here. With the reliance on AI in testing, how do we ensure that testers continue to maintain their critical thinking skills? That's a good question.
Well, to be honest, if I look at the past and the history, what I also do in my presentation, what I've seen with test automation, for example, taking over the whole testing part, and we think that we can replace it with 100% automation, and the mistakes that are made over there, I think we're just going to repeat ourselves. So eventually, we will use AI and we will lose some of our critical thinking skills. And what is going to happen also is that the people that have that and propose it will object to it and say, what are we doing? And eventually, when it goes wrong, let's get back to it. So I think it's a cycle, and it's a cycle that continuously goes on for years already with automation of things. Where we're now maybe going towards the low part again, where we will lose some of their critical thinking skills, but we'll get back, and we will be there to help people in that, to teach them again, to train them, to challenge them what is really important when it comes to delivering software and how we should handle it.
Absolutely. Let's see if we've got some more questions here. What do you think is the most important factor in ensuring that AI enhances human collaboration rather than replacing it?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's also, we learn it from ethics. Eventually, we can't do this as humans ourselves. I think we need rules and regulations for it. I think we need the governments also to help us here, because we are humans. We are really, we will fall into the trap of being replaced in that way. So I think if you look at the most important factor, there are many factors there, and I think it's our own critical thinking, everything in there, but we as individuals are quite powerless in that way if you look at the whole society and community in the whole. So I think the most important factor in that way should be, I think, laws, regulations, good guidance, and well, we need the governments to help us. But that's my personal opinion.
I think maybe, Pieter, take it down to an organizational team level. We talk a lot about the culture within a team, in the organization, and how important that culture is to help us
Absolutely.
succeed. If AI is being used within a team, how do you set some type of a framework for operation there? What might it look like?
Yeah, exactly. I think I did, like 5 years ago, I did a thought experiment with the people of Improve about AI and helping AI in team collaboration. So really making AI helping collaboration. But I think eventually it is the culture in the team is really important. So for us also, when we train, it's not always about the facts and those kind of things. Is many times about the culture. So if you have software, how do you review your software? What kind of culture do you have over there? Like, okay, I accept because I don't want difficult questions, or we're going to challenge each other about patterns and about what we're seeing. And if we keep on challenging each other, it will help. I also believe in that way that more agility on the floor
Yes.
is crucial in this way to adapt this properly. Because in the other, if we go really to waterfall and things, there's a big risk that it will go to more AI tools and check marks in that way. So yeah, agility probably in team level, keeping each other sharp, and indeed engineering culture, talk about technology and improving that. That will help. Yeah, and I think we all have a role in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking, are there any more questions here? We've got a shy audience, so a couple of questions. Well, Pieter, thank you.
Maybe too provoking.
Yeah. But as I say, such a thought-provoking presentation, and we will make presentations available so people can come back. And if you have questions afterwards, then please pop them in the comments, and we'll make sure that we come up as A4Q and share them.
Absolutely. Feel free to reach out and connect also to me if you want a question. Thanks.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. So please stay tuned. We've got more sessions coming up for the rest of the day. And Pieter, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, Debbie. Thank you. And thank you.